G'day, welcome to the show, Salt Covers. We are back and we are riding hot at the moment. Over the last 2 days, we are plus 10.3 units, 6 and 3 overall. Make sure you go follow me on Twitter at Salt Covers. Get these bets as soon as I place them. By the time I hit record, most of them are well and truly gone. We have 4 tickets today, 3 of them are already priced out. Looking back at yesterday, we went 3 and 2 plus 5.5 units. We cashed our game of the year, 5 units on the Celtics minus 1.5. We love taking the Celtics coming off a loss. Denver was in such a bad travel spot. We loved that spot as soon as it came out. That game closed at Celtics minus 5.5. Always look to back Boston after a loss, even though, yes, they were in that position against Cleveland. They didn't cover against the Cavs. The Cavs are in a revenge spot. Boston wins that game with a healthy squad. We also won on the Portland and Cleveland over 228. That was an easy over spot for us. Projections had that at 233. We saw that line close at 235. That game was a no sweat over. That game went to overtime, but it hit the over in regulation. So love to see that. We did lose on the Spurs Thunder under. That game went well over, finished at like 270. Don't like to see that, but that's all right. Moving on, we also had the Timberwolves money line. Go back and watch my last episode. I knew the script. I said that Ant was going to get ruled in and that this game would close at Timberwolves -2, -3. So it closed at Timberwolves -1.5. Maybe there were some twos on the board, but look, Ant has been carrying this questionable tag for quite some time. He hasn't missed a game yet. You know he loves KD. You know he wants to go up against KD. That he played great that game as well. That was an easy bet. I don't know how you could take the Suns. Timberwolves swept them in the playoffs. They were in a bounce back spot coming off 2 straight losses. Like, we also had the over that game. We liked that. That total closed at 234, yet it went well under. Like, look, we move. I like that spot. We got 7 points of CLV. Nothing you can do there. Let's move. Who do we have first? Let's get the on screen up as well. Bet365 is down, so we are using a different on screen for today. It's not as pretty. It's a bit harder to see. I might see if I can zoom in a bit on that. Let's see if this is a bit better. Yeah, okay. This is a little bit better. So we have the Warriors in Charlotte. Steph Curry homecoming game. Butler is probable after missing the Warriors last game. They lost to the Sixers as 7.8-point favorites. Miles Bridges probable. Charlotte have been a bit more of a pace up team over this last 10 games, but they're still like an under team, low pace team. Golden State do have the Knicks on deck. They will be playing in New York the following day, so this could be a look ahead spot for the Warriors. Spread open at -12. We see -12 still there. You see some 12.5s, 11.5s. Projections right there at 12. Steph has sat out and some back-to-backs this season. There's no word on him being out at the moment. Warriors are the 6 or the 7 seed in a close race with the Clippers for the 6th seed. You know they want to avoid the play-in. Out of 8 back-to-backs that Steph has not came into carrying an injury, he has played both games 4 times. He has sat out the first game 3 times, and he's sat out the second game once. So look, this does seem like a spot where Steph could sit. They've got the Knicks next game. This is just a sad Hornets team. No word on LaMelo. He should be playing. No indications to say he's not playing, besides the fact the Hornets don't really have much to play for. They want to keep him healthy. He's not going to be playing back-to-backs for the rest of the season. We know that. Look, nothing from me on the spread. I do lean Hornets just because of the look-ahead spot, but I'm not playing it. Warriors do need to stay competitive, even in these unappealing matchups. Looking towards the total, though. This game opened up at rec books at 222.5, whereas Pinnacle and some sharper books open at 225. Now it's back at around that 224. These two teams played in Golden State without LaMelo probably about a week and a half ago. Game opened at 223, closed at 217, so saw some sharp action towards the under. That game finished at 220, so if you hit the under early, you would have got it. If you hit the over late, you would have got it. Look, I personally don't think LaMelo is worth 6 points to an over. Look, the market direction said under in that game. Projections do like the under in this game as well. Charlotte are an under team, second worst over team in the league. They're a pace down team. Warriors, middle of the league. They certainly have been scoring some high totals lately. This is just as high of a Charlotte Hornets total as you're going to get. And against a Warriors team who, yes, they've been scoring a lot lately. They're still middle of the league pace and over-unders. Hornets as home underdog, 19-7 to the under, 21-9 to the under at home. Golden State 15-2 to the under after a loss. This series, last 5 games, 4-1 to the under, likely 5-0 to the under against opening lines. With LaMelo in the lineup, the Hornets are 60% to the under. With LaMelo in the lineup, they're 70% to the under when he's in, 60% to the under when he's out. So they're an under team either way. Look, there is some risk of Steph sitting in this back-to-back situation. There is some risk with LaMelo sitting. I've got a 2-unit ticket on the under 224.5 for 2 units. I bet there's still a 224.5 still on the board. In fact, if I check my phone just quickly, I reckon you can probably get a 225 even as of recording. Let's take a quick look. No, you can't. 224.5 is the best number available. We got that down for 2 units. Hornets home games are unders, especially with them as a underdog as well. Throw in the risk of Steph potentially sitting out. Take the under for 2 units, 224.5. Let's move on. Let's slightly fix up my on screen as well.
1 pair of pants later.
Okay, moving on. We have Portland and Philly Blazers in a back-to-back spot, coming off a tough overtime loss to the Cavs. They were up for a long stretch of that game. They easily covered as 11-point dogs. I did say the last episode that I did think it was a letdown spot for the Cavs. I didn't have the balls to play it. Mad at myself for not playing it, but that's okay. We had a great day yesterday. I said I liked the Magic, but didn't have the balls to play them, and they lost outright. So we move. Look, something about this line just seems fishy as hell. This line opened at Sixers minus 3.5. It's still there. Hasn't really budged much. Projections have this at Blazers minus 2.5. Portland, Denny Advia back in the lineup. He's really important for this team. PG is questionable. Look, gun to my head, give me the Blazers. If you want to bet them, just take the money line. You can see the money line's got some good plus money there. You can probably find a better number somewhere else as well. Look, This just feels like a trap. Like, why is this game priced at Sixers minus 3.5? This line is just begging you to take the Blazers. I just feel there are so many ways you can just bet on this game and walk away feeling angry. I'm not touching this spread. I'm not touching this game at all. If this was such a mispriced line, it would have moved towards Portland already. Philly, second worst team against the spread this year. Portland, fourth best team against the spread this year. Yet, look, it just makes 0 sense. 0 sense to me. Blazers haven't won in Philadelphia since the COVID season. Yeah, look, I'm not betting on this one. I encourage you to just sit this out. If you really like the Blazers, just play them on the money line. Philly have to be desperate. Bulls just lost a game. They do have a chance to catch up, but look, nothing from me on the spread. Total open at 222 at the rec books, 225 at the sharp books. We have seen this total just shoot through the roof, now at 228. There are some 229s on the board as well. Line projected at 221. Sixers an over team, but they're also a pace down team. Blazers, middle of the pack. Blazers are 7-2 to the under with no rest. They are also 6-1 and 1 to the under with a rest disadvantage. There are some angles here towards the under, but I'm not going to fade the smart money that's saying over. Look, nothing from me on the total. Look, this is just one of those games where there's a very high chance if you bet on it, you're going to bet on anything in this game, you're going to be annoyed. So just stay away. Stay away from this. I'm not going to be mad if the Blazers win and cover. I'm just not betting it. Next, we have the Washington Wizards in Miami. Another game where the Heat, they're coming in on a back-to-back. They just came off an overtime loss against New York. Another game which I said I liked the Heat against the spread, and I didn't have the balls to take them. There's been some clear Wizards money come into this game. This game opened at Heat minus 12.5. Now at Heat minus 9. Heat, yeah, coming in off a back-to-back overtime loss. Definitely a spot where you need to keep your betting app open. If you know a team's in a back-to-back, you see them come in off an overtime game, you should expect that money is going to come in against them. The spread will probably move against them. Nothing from me on the spread now. Projections at Heat minus 9.6. The sharp move was Wizards plus 12 or plus 11s. Priced out now. Total opened at 225 at rec books. Opened at 221 at the sharp books. Now at 219. Look, nothing from me here on this game at all. Do not torture yourself by watching this game. Look, Heat home games have been an over spot. They're also third slowest team in the pace in the league. Wizards top 4 in pace. Let's move on. Let's get this game off my screen. Who do we have next? Now instead of watching the Wizards at Heat, tune in to this Grizzlies and Hawks game. Here we see, let's talk total first. Here we see one of the highest opening totals of the season. This game opened at 250. We have the two fastest teams in the league. We have 2 top 5 over teams in the league. We saw the sharper books open this total at 252. We made sure to get ourselves a ticket at 250.5. We've gone ahead and played into one of the biggest totals of the season. We have played the over 250.5 for 2.5 units. God, that's a bit of a tongue twister there. 2.5 units on 250.5. Hawks 13-7 to the over when playing top 10 pace teams. 12-3 to the over when the total is 240 or more. Grizzlies 11-14 to the over when playing top 10 pace teams. 12 and 8 to the over when playing with a total of over 240. Make sure you go like and subscribe this video, guys. Those stats are just, you can't just Google that shit, alright? I'm here in the lab trying to find out how the Grizzlies and Hawks perform against these totals, against top 10 pace teams. Can't just Google that shit. Make sure you go like and subscribe. We have the over here, over 250.5, now at 253. We tweet these out when we bet them. Go follow Salt Covers. Priced out now at 253. Also a good sign, public is on the under. You know, when you... Obviously, these public betting percentages, you do got to take them with a grain of salt. In reality, like, most of the time, they're not a true reflection of the overall betting public, but when you're scrolling through Action Network, every single game you just see that like 70% of the public is on the over every single time. This time we see 57% of the tickets are on the under. That's something we like to see. You rarely see that. Let's move on to the spread. Another play that we've got. So this spread opened at Memphis -6. Memphis have been 0-5 this season after the All-Star break. Market is clearly frozen on them. We project the line at Memphis -10.7. This is a prime bounce back spot for the Grizzlies. Memphis coming off 2 straight home losses. They've lost to the Knicks and the Spurs. Now they have Jar and Bane back in the lineup. Memphis still a strong team against the spread after a loss, 14-7. Also 18-12 this season at home against the spread. We have played Memphis -6.5 for 2.5 units as well. Again, tweeted that play out. We now see the spread at Memphis -8.5. Definitely priced out there. Do not play that. We like our ticket at -6.5. Let's move on. Who have we got next? We have the Rockets in Oklahoma City. God, OKC, man. They've just had a lot of these games recently where they always have like a big long spread, and like at halftime it's like they're losing, and then they just still somehow come back and both win and outright cover like a 13-14 point spread. Let me just have a look at how... So they just did that against the bare-bones Spurs. I think they were covering for most of the game against the Hawks. They did it against the Nets. They did lose 2 straight against... No, they lost against the T-Wolves. They were losing against the T-Wolves in that game 1, but they won, didn't cover. I mean, they did that against the Heat. We remember that. Now they have a 10.5 point spread against the Rockets. This game opened at 11, went to 11.5, now back at 10.5. Houston do have a pretty big injury report. They have Harry Eason, Steve Adams, Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks, all questionable. Fred VanVleet is out. OKC Shet is out. Look, nothing from me on the spread here. This is about as big a Houston spread as you're going to get. Projections got this at OKC -15. Just not going to touch it. Not going to touch it. Not going to touch that spread. Total-wise, though, this game opened at 222 at the rec books. We have seen OKC score over 125 points in their last 6 games. They've hit the over in the last 6 games. They have been annihilating totals lately. Projected total at 227.9. We have taken it over 222, taken that for 2 units. Now this total is sitting at 227.5. Another ticket that is priced out, but if you follow me on Twitter, you would have been able to get it. OKC 18-10 to the over at home. Rockets 9-4 to the over as road dogs. 18-11 to the over as road team. Now total is priced out. We've seen it move up 5 points. These teams have played 3 times already, once in Vegas in the NBA Cup game, which I try to ignore. Like, those games are they're just different compared to your normal regular season game. In the other 2 games, once in Houston, once in OKC, both games have seen market movement towards the over. They've both gone well over, so we do like the over 222 here, priced out now. Let's move on. Who have we got next? Kings in Dallas. These guys played in Dallas not that long ago. Zach LaVine hit a game winner. This spread opened at Dallas minus 1.5. Still available. Sabonis is out for a week. Look, Kings riding a 3-game winning streak. Had a nice win in Houston. Dallas coming off a 15-point home loss. PJ Washington is out. Kings are 2-0 against Dallas this season. Previous game, about a week and a half ago, opened at Dallas minus 1.5. Now at Kings minus 1.5. Kings, 3rd worst team against the spread this season. Dallas, 12th best against the spread. Look, nothing from me on the spread here. I'd say the public's going to be on the Kings. This Dallas team, it's just hard to get a read on them. I mean, they were in a similar position last time out against the Bucks. Short spread in a clear spot where the public's going to be on the other side. Bucks did cover that game nice and easy. There is a slight revenge angle here. Yeah, look, nothing from me on the spread. Looking at the total, though, we have seen the total steam down. Open at 236.5, now at 231. Projections got this at 234. Sabonis is definitely an over player. I understand the movement. Nothing from me here. I didn't get it bet down on this total. We've seen the market move to another number that's very sharp. Last game on the card. Last game on the card is the Pistons and Utah. Pistons in Utah. Just gonna have to fix up my on screen to get this on. Be back in a moment.
1 pair of pants later.
Okay, we are back. Pistons in Utah. Spread open at 8.5. Now at 10.5 to the Pistons. Clearly some movement here towards the Pistons. The Jazz actually won their last matchup in late December. Is this a revenge spot? What is the statute of limitations with revenge games? It's been 2 months. These teams barely play each other for the most part of the last 5 years. They've been awful teams. Probably not a revenge game, but I mean the Jazz did beat the Pistons outright last game in Detroit. Look, yeah, nothing from me here on the spread. We've seen it move towards the Pistons. You just have no idea who's going to play for the Jazz. The Jazz, they do tend to cover spreads when all their team gets announced out, the spread will move like 3-4 points against them, and they'll end up covering the closing line, but probably not covering that opening line. So, I mean, that's what happened in that Pelicans game. If you got a Pelicans -6, you would have won. If you had a Jazz plus 7.5 before tip-off, that would have won. Total open at 229. Now we see it at 232. Projected at 231. Pistons have been a top 7-ish pace team. Jazz shoot a lot of threes. Jazz have been a bit of a pace-up team. Look, yeah. Jazz top 3 over team. Nothing from me on the total. We've seen it move. I don't have a ticket on it. Let's move into our recap. Let's get the on screen off. And so we have, oh no, that's the recap. Best bets for today. We have the Warriors in Charlotte. We got under 224.5. Got that down for 2 units. That line is still available. Go play it. We have the Rockets and Thunder over 222. Got that down for 2 units. I wish I had more on that because we've seen the total steam up to 227. OKC have just been annihilating these totals for the last 6 games. This is as low of a total as you're going to see for them. We have the Hawks and Memphis over 250. We are putting our balls on the table and taking one of the highest totals of the season. We're taking the over for 2.5 units. Now that total's at 253. Keep an eye out on my Twitter. I may look to play some of this back towards the under if it gets to 254 at Salt Covers. We also have the Grizzlies minus 6.5. Got that down for 2.5 units. Got that at $1.88. So far, 3 of our tickets are sitting in very good positions. Hornets, Warriors, we only bet that just before the show as we were doing some research. So this line is still available. There is some risk if Steph sits, if LaMelo sits, this total could just plummet. We did see the total in the first game plummet as well, so definitely worth a sniff. Charlotte home games, always worth looking towards the under. Until next time, let's get the books salty.